Hello, I am Mudita, and welcome back to Satisfactory. This is episode 17 of the load balance playthrough, and today I'm going to tackle radio control units. I have most of the alt recipes available to me. I'm going to utilize the iron wire, stitched iron plate, silicon circuit board, and crystal computer recipes. These are great recipes that save on raw resources and power. 6 per minute will be more than I need just for storage, and I'll most likely use some of it for a future project. I'm going to be using these nodes here. Let me try to quickly run through the different steps of what's going on here. So as far as inputs go, we need 35.2 copper ore, 190.56 raw quartz, 223.88 repeating iron ore, and we already have the aluminum ingots, so I just need to load balance and send those over. So the copper ore is solely for copper sheets for the circuit boards. The raw quartz is going to get split between 2 different miners to make splitting this really easy, but we're going to need the small amount for silica and the majority for quartz crystal. The iron ore is going to get split between iron plates and iron wire. The iron wire is then going to get split between making cable for the crystal oscillators. The rest of it will be used in the stitched iron plate alternate recipe. We'll combine the quartz crystal cable and reinforced iron plates to make the crystal oscillators. We'll use half of the crystal oscillators in the crystal computer alternate recipe, and then use the remaining half with those computers and the aluminum casings to make our radio control units at a rate of 6 per minute. Now let's go through the blueprints I'll be using. I'll need 1 of the 2 smelters, 1 of the 3 smelters, and 1 of the 5 smelter blueprints. For constructors, I'll need 2 sets of the 2 constructor blueprint, 6 sets of 3 constructors, and 1 of the 5 constructor, needing 1 of both half. Moving on to assemblers, I'll need 1 set of the 2 assembler blueprint, and 1 of the 3 assembler blueprint. And last but not least, the manufacturers, I'll need 9 in total, so I'll need 3 of each one of the 3 different manufacturers I have. Now let's get these towers built. And here are the 3 towers that we need for this build. So this little guy is for the copper. It's going to be making the whopping 17.6 copper sheets we need for the circuit boards. This one right here is going to deal with the silica for the circuit boards and all of the quartz for the crystal oscillators. And this big tower is where everything else is going to get made. So the reason for the odd change of shape right there is because we're so close to the rock being on this iron node that if I made it the 8x8 instead of the 6x6, so much of it would have been clipped into the mountain, and I just didn't want to do that, so I just decided to widen it up here. I tried to blend it in as best as I could with some ramps to make it not look so crazy, but yeah, the manufacturers, it was just going to be easier to be able to put 3 on the floor than do 3 floors with 2, in my opinion, so that's why I went with that. So with this video, I'm going to switch it up again, much like I did with the steel. I'm going to skip ahead to everything being in place, and then I'm just going to go floor by floor, kind of describing how everything works. And just like that, everything's built. So let's run through the small towers, and then we'll get to the main one. So over here, like I said, we've got the copper. So we're using the 2 smelter blueprint and the 2 constructor blueprint. So the smelters are each putting out 17.6 copper ingots. And then each of the constructors are intaking 17.6 and outputting our 8.8 to get a total of 17.6 copper sheets. And that's just headed over to the main tower. And now let's go take a look at the quartz. And we're over here at our quartz tower. So the way I decided to do this, because there's quite a few quartz nodes, I doubt I'm going to use every single bit of every node on this playthrough. So it was just easiest to be able to put this one at 180 and then this one at a whopping 10.56 instead of having to split that off. So maybe in the future that'll bite me if I run out of quartz, but I don't think I will. So this is going to make the 17.6 silica that I need. And then this side's just using our 5 constructor blueprints, using the A and B, and then you just got to merge the 2 together. But this is going to intake 108 quartz and output 108 quartz crystal. Both of these are just coming out of here and taking a short bus right into the main tower. I've already got the aluminum ingots being sent over here, and for the meantime, I just have them being sent into a sink. When it's time, I'll just plug them straight into that lift into the tower. But let me quickly go over to the aluminum factory to show you how I split that off. We're over at our familiar aluminum setup. So on the top floor, this is where I siphoned off the top 150 to make my sheets and casings for storage. So I figured it was just easiest to kind of work from the top. So since I need 144 and a set of 5 does 150, I needed to split off 6. So since each smelter is putting out 30, I just did a real quick 5-way split. So we've got half of it going that way, which would be 3/5. And then coming out of here, we have it split all 3 ways. 1 loops back, and then here's the 2/5. So we just needed 1/5 because that's 6 out of the 30. So that is headed downstairs to merge up with everything else. So now over here we have 606 being sunk and 600 over here. So kind of random numbers, but that's sometimes just what happens. So that's how we split that off. Back at the main tower, let's work our way up floor by floor. I have the iron node set to 223.89, and that's going to get split with 75 going to iron plates and the remainder going into the iron wire. We have 3 smelters, that's doing the 75 iron ore, and then we have 2 constructors, and this is where the aluminum casings are coming in, and we only need 2 of them, each set to make 48 aluminum casings. On the next floor, we've got our 5 smelters, and these are all doing the remaining 148.88 repeating iron ingots. On the next floor, we've got 3 constructors, and above that, another 3. So these 12 are all making wire, set to a really convenient number. Between these 2 floors, they're bringing in the 148.88 repeating iron ingots and outputting 268 iron wire. And then I merged both of the floors together, and this is how I ended up splitting it up. So we're using a smart splitter right here. So we have it set so any goes to forward and to the right, overflow is to the left. We're using the 2 belt setup because this won't be a completely full Mark III belt. So this way we keep a full Mark I belt, even though there will be gaps on it. And then we're also filling up another Mark I belt. So by doing this, I've got 2 Mark I belts to work with. So if I send one into a smart splitter, if I split it all 3 ways, that'll be 20 on each of these belts. And so I can recombine 2 of them with that other Mark I belt. And this right here has our output of 100 wire, leaving the remainder over here to be our 168. On the next floor, we've got our 3 constructor blueprint, and this is taking in that 168 wire and turning it into 84 cable. And on the floor above that, we have our copper ingots from that very first floor coming all the way up to here. This is taking the 75 iron ingots and turning it into a total of 50 iron plates. The next floor up has our circuit boards being made. So since I only need 8 a minute, that gives us a really fun 17.6 copper sheets in silica. But since each one of those were coming out of their own miner, this was really easy to set up. And on the next floor, we've got our 3 assembler blueprint, each set for 5 reinforced iron plates using the stitched iron plate recipe. So this is where the 50 iron plates and the 100 wire are going. And then from there, we have the next 2 floors are both going to be making our crystal oscillators. All 6 manufacturers are set to 100%. Load balancing across 2 floors is really easy. We just have everything come up into splitters before they head into the splitters for the 3. So half of them go here, half of them just go to the next floor. And on the next floor, we've got our 2 assembler blueprint, each for crystal computers. So This is taking the total of 8 circuit boards, and 3 of the crystal oscillators are being sent to this floor. The other 3 crystal oscillators are going to the next floor, which is the final floor, making our radio control units. So this is bringing together the aluminum casing, crystal oscillators, and our computers. So we are going to be making a total of 6 radio control units per minute. That's way more than I need for storage, but it'll build up my storage quicker. And then most likely I'm going to split a third of that off for a future project. And now it's time to turn it on. So we've got the main power right here, just being brought over and sent into our priority power switch. So we just need to flip it and start that timer. And now that the computers are being made, although not at 100% quite yet, I can go ahead and get the aluminum casing started. And there's our first 2 radio control units. I'm going to let the stopwatch keep running for a little bit longer, just see how long it takes to get these last manufacturers up to 100%. Well, as it turns out, they didn't even need to pause once. They just turned on and were instantly at 100%, so you love to see it. I now have 6 radio control units per minute headed from my tower all the way to the train station. So I went ahead and just used the next freight platform down, added another freight car to the train that's already headed from here to storage, and that's how we're getting the radio control units into storage. Okay, so I'm back at the home station. This guy waits here for about 20 minutes because the rates are so low it doesn't need to run all the time. But let me show you the over excessive thing I did here. So for the radio control units, I could obviously just have it empty, and then whenever it does run, it'll just have a full 60 belt. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But I decided I really wanted the actual 6 per minute to show up on the belt, and so this is what I came up with. So we've got a splitter, obviously just a Mark 1 belt. So we split it in half, so 30 of it gets looped back in and obviously just gets sent back into the storage container. And then we have the other half go over here. So from here, we've got 30, but we're gonna do a 5-way split, because if we split off 1/5 from 30, that's our 6. So that's essentially what this is splitting off 1/5, and then the 4/5 is looping in back to the other side, so that it's continuously only sending out 6 per minute, and so that there's always going to be a bunch in here, but that's okay because 6 per minute is more than I'll ever need. That is what a load balance playthrough leads you to, doing silly stuff like this. But I'm really happy. I've got 6 radio control units per minute, all headed to storage. Got the sync set for the overflow. The immediate goal is to get batteries and then a whole bunch of drones, and I'm going to set up a drone delivery system on top of my storage, eliminating the need for project trains. So I'm pretty excited for that, although I think I'm going to need some more power before I can turn that many drone ports on. So the next project will be out on the west coast, using the oil out there to add some more power to the grid. Stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.